How you doing, guys? It's Alessandro here from Spicy Moustache with some new tips in order to help you create your own green area, indoor or outdoor. Science shows that the primary building blocks of all life begins with healthy and diverse microbial activity. Just as microbes play an important part in our own body's health, microbes play an important part in the health of our soil and gardens. Plants thrive when the soil is full of beneficial microorganisms. The main question is, how do you improve the amount of beneficial bacteria and microorganisms in your garden? In one of my previous videos, I explained you how to collect microorganisms from an area with a high vegetation around your garden. However, that was kind of an introduction of what I will show you today to improve your garden and nurture your plants 100% organically. So dig up the like button, and today I'll show you all you need to know about Bokashi. In horticulture, Bokashi is a Japanese word that means fermented organic matter. The Bokashi host medium can indeed be almost any fine organic grain or grass-like substance. This medium is inoculated with beneficial microbes that flourish in an anaerobic acidic environment. The microbes are collected by preparing a brew that attracts the appropriate bacterial strains. The grain or grass-like substance are then submerged in this brew and left to ferment along with some molasses. Molasses are nothing more than unrefined sugar that provides energy for the microbes. Once the fermentation is done, the inoculated substrate is left to dry, and then it will be packed for a long shelf conservation. In this way, the microbes will go dormant and they will be reactivated when in contact with water. The bacteria belongs mostly to three strains: yeast, bacteria that produce lactic acid, and purple non-sulfur bacteria. There are many other steps involved, but that's the basic process in which Bokashi is created. Bokashi was discovered or developed by Dr. Tiro Higa, a professor from Okinawa, Japan in 1982. In Asian countries, including Korea, deliberate collection and culturing of natural occurring microorganisms has been a common practice in agriculture since centuries. Basically, they believe that by applying this technique to the soil, they will minimize the need of inorganic soil amendment. What I've got here, it's a product made by SD Microbes in San Diego, California. This is made with organic spent brewer's grain and organic red flaky wheat bran. They inoculated this substrate with LABS, which stands for lactic acid bacteria serum, and other natural inputs. These grains are fermented for 3 weeks before drying them for storage. Also, it comes in a lovely looking package, which is plant-based and biodegradable. You will find the link for this product in the description of the video, along with a 10% discount if you add Spicy Moustache at checkout. There are many ways to use these grains in your garden to grow strong and organic plants. One of the most common ways to use them in your garden is as a top dress, to break down topsoil amendments around your plant and also to create a mycelial mat. You could either sprinkle it on top of dry amendments or use it as it is. The reason why you should mulch is because it will protect the mycelium that will start forming in about 24-48 hours, and in this way you will create the perfect condition for the bacteria to thrive. The mycelium is like the plant internet, and they use it to communicate and exchange nutrients by creating a mutual relationship. Another great way to use these grains would be to mix it into new potting soil before planting your plants and mix it well. Just remember to water your plants with rainwater or unchlorinated water, or you will risk to kill the bacteria activity. I usually set a tank of 250 liters of water and wait around 48 hours before using it in my garden. So in this way, most of the chlorine evaporates. The third method that I would like to recommend would be to make a tray of soil and grains to be kept indoor. This is ideal for people living in a colder climate, like UK for example, because in this way you can give an head start to your mycelium by recreating the perfect humidity and temperature. And so once it's developed, you can transfer it outside and use it in your garden. Warm and humid is the perfect combination for bacteria to thrive. Just remember that if there are freezing temperatures, the production of mycelium will be really slow and most of the bacteria will die. Bokashi, it's absolutely brilliant when you use it to decompose food scraps from your kitchen. You could either add it to the top of your compost bin or add a layer of grains every layer of food scraps. However, the best way to use it for your food scraps would be by buying a Bokashi bucket. This consists of a 5-pound plastic bin with a tight-fitting lid and a spigot at the bottom. The spigot might be the difference between a process that's easy and one that's unmanageable. because you would have to lift your 5-pound bucket full of soggy food scraps every time that you need to drain the bottom. Also, I keep these bins in my kitchen and there is absolutely no smell, and it's really good because every time that I finish to cook, I can just transfer all my food scraps inside the bins. Bokashi is great because you can use all the kitchen scraps that usually shouldn't go in a compost bin, like meat, dairy, oil, and the bacteria will simply get rid of it. What I personally used for this bucket, it's a mix of vegetables chopped down in small pieces. Don't use anything rotting or with mold, because the bacteria present into the mold will potentially outcompete the microorganism in your bokashi. I start by adding a layer of grains at the bottom and about 1-2 inches of food scraps on the top. You can then layer another layer of grains and simply use a weight to compress it. In this way, you get rid of all the air pockets. Continue to stack your food waste, alternating with grains and tamping down to remove any air. Bokashi, it's an anaerobic process, so it needs to be kept as free as possible from oxygen. After 2 to 3 days, some liquid will start to form at the bottom. You can drain this liquid and use it in your garden for established plants at a ratio of 500:1. The liquid needs to be used between a day or 2. Once your bucket is completely full, you can then close it with your lid and let it ferment for a minimum of 3 weeks. Like the anaerobic compost produced by digesters, Bokashi compost is pretty acidic whenever it comes out of its bin. What's produced in 3 weeks, it's a pre-compost, and just be aware that plant roots shouldn't get in touch with it for at least 2 weeks. Only after around 1 month, it is fully incorporated into the soil. Apparently, some people feed this pickled Bokashi compost to their vermicomposting worms, and they don't have any problem. Other people put their pre-compost Bokashi into the regular compost pile. In the garden, you should remember to never plant anything wherever the Bokashi has been buried for at least 2 weeks. So burying the Bokashi into the compost pile eliminates this problem. It also solves the problem of finding space where to dig in a small garden like this urban garden here. And it's great because it will speed up the whole process of decomposition of your compost pile. You could also use Bokashi grains over pet waste to facilitate the decomposition and remove the bad smell. And finally, it's absolutely perfect to flush down your toilet to reduce fall gases or sludge. You're all ready to set up your own Bokashi bucket, and as you saw, nothing is hard about this process. It just requires a bit of time for the fermentation process, but even with all the waiting for the fermentation, it would take around 5 weeks time to complete the process. Anyway, I will post updates about the bins on my Instagram account, so you will see how the mycelium started forming and decompose all the food scraps. Even if you don't have a garden, reducing the amount of food scraps produced every day by our household could be a step toward global change. I hope you liked today's video, and if so, please subscribe to my channel, turn on the notification settings so you can be notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you next Friday for a new episode, and thank you so much for watching. See ya!